that I love you, oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus, my Jesus, that's why I love you so. Hey YouTube, this is Nicole, aka Beautythruchrist. Thank you for tuning in and just taking a look at my video. It's crazy because the first video that I posted was 3 years ago and it happens to be the only video on my channel. So I have been slacking in a major way. So I'm back, and you know, it's been a crazy journey these last 3 years. Pretty much like when I first recorded my first video, I was like getting ready to graduate from college, and so I was embarking on a new chapter then. I was getting ready to start into my career and try to get into the industry that I wanted to get into, which is fashion, entrepreneurship, business, anything related. And so it was crazy, like just getting out of college and trying to find work with a degree. Seemed like everybody wanted a degree plus 5 to 10 years of experience, and it's like, I just graduated. Like, I don't have that. So it was a struggle trying to find work in my industry, and being in fashion, it's like the only other avenues that you can go and probably get into a little bit easier is retail, and I had been in retail since high school, so I was trying to get like to a different level. I didn't want to be in retail. I wanted to get into the corporate side of fashion. But fast forward, I ended up getting a job in direct sales because that was literally the only company that was trying to reach out to me about an offer. I hated the idea of doing sales because this was actual direct sales where you have to get in people's faces and try to sell them on a product. And I felt like I was way too introverted for that. Like, I'm not an extrovert in any way. And so it was just really, it really brought me out of my shell in ways that I didn't think it could. But I took it, and I think that was just God giving me that only option because he wanted me to grow. So that experience took me to many places. I was able to grow a lot. I was able to learn how to communicate with different people. And I was doing like door-to-door sales, like like the bottom of the barrel type of sales, like where you really got to get out there and do what you got to do. So I started in door-to-door sales, and then that eventually moved into B2B, which is selling to businesses, which was a lot more exciting. And so went into that, and that's actually the position that brought me to Dallas. Originally San Antonio, but that didn't work out, so I went to Dallas, long story short. So ended up in Dallas and did the job, actually got into an operations management position, just got a lot of experience working with them, just great people to work with, made awesome relationships, and being in Dallas in general allowed me to network with all types of women. Like, I was able to meet women who had entrepreneurial mindsets. There was tons of support systems down there for women who wanted to be entrepreneurs. I went to an event called Boss Women of the Year and just saw like some of the most inspiring, amazing women who own their own businesses and just own their lives in general. And so that was like the end of 2018. I was pretty much like energized to take a leap and launch my clothing line that I've always wanted to launch, which is Rizenbreed. This is a Christian apparel line, and I didn't just want to put a clothing line out there for the sake of people buying clothes. I actually wanted to use this business to give back in some kind of way. And so I used it when I initially launched it in November 2018. I made a small little collection just with the logo, and I actually used those funds to help support my sponsor child in Kenya. And so that was a way for me to kind of express what this brand was about. It's not just about buying clothes. It's not even just about expressing your faith, but it's about making a difference in the world and inspiring other people to serve other people. And so that was my that was my mission and original plan for launching that brand. It was an exciting time, just taking that leap of faith. There's a lot of energy and just adrenaline that goes into that. So fast forward, in about March of 2019, I linked up with one of the women that I networked with who was into entrepreneurship. She had her own networking group called Ever Evolving Women. Shout out to her. Check it out if you can. But she was amazing, and we kind of inspired one another, and she helped me kind of launch my first event. Like, I wanted to do an event that brought women together for a cause. We ate, we drank, and we talked, and I also teamed up with the Salvation Army, and we basically decorated lunch bags for the homeless that they served. And we just put positive and encouraging messages, because anybody in that position, just the thing that they need the most is encouragement. And so I was able to successfully host my first event for my brand. So I was just doing all types of amazing things, just really stretching myself and allowing God to use me. And just not only that, but
I'm actually gonna have to rewind
back to February of last year. So February of last year, it was interesting. I had just quit my job with the sales company, wanting to kind of expand my horizon and just kind of get into the industry that I originally wanted to be in. I felt like I was getting further and further away from that, and the company was transitioning into directions that I wasn't, trying to transition to. So I took a leap of faith. I left the company in hopes of finding work in my industry. And so I got hit with reality again, and going through the process of getting rejected for jobs and just all types of stuff. It was just a very discouraging time once again. Now, I was going to a church at the time, and I was pretty heavily involved because I had just gotten back from a missions trip with them. It was funny because I went to one of their events, young adult events, and they were talking about a missions trip to Jamaica, and I'm like, that sounds amazing. Like, that's something I always wanted to do alongside with my brand. I wanted to encourage people to go on missions and do mission trips. And so I figured this would be like the perfect way to get that experience. And so I was like, I don't know, I can't afford it, but if it's meant to be, God will make it happen. Well, it happened. And we were able to pretty much go and minister and help people there in Jamaica who were just struggling in different areas. We did quite a few things in Jamaica. We were able to help reconstruct their homes, give them proper window treatments. We also helped them with their doors, just things just to help them have a safe place to stay and a safe place from weather and things like that. Like, we were able to upgrade what they had already. We also were able to go and minister to some young girls who were in a group home, came from abusive families, just in a very, very bad season of their life. And we went and we pretty much pampered them, made them feel beautiful about themselves, encouraged them. It was an amazing experience, and just to see the transition, like, on their faces from when we first got there. They looked very sad, depressed. They didn't know why we were there. By the time we left, they were happy. They were giving me hugs and, just thanking us for giving them an opportunity to feel beautiful, because that was the last thing that they felt. So that was probably my most favorite experience on that missions trip. And then we were also able to do quite a few other things. We had a concert in the park for the community, and we just sang, we danced, we laughed. We just had a really good time with them. Just that whole trip, that whole experience just gave me a new outlook on life. So when I got back, I was actually facing eviction. Like, mind you, I had already left my job. The trip did help me take my mind off of it, but it was still very discouraging. Here I am, I have a degree, now I have some experience, and I'm still getting rejected. And so it was a crazy time. And then on top of that, my bills are suffering. I'm not being able to pay my bills because I don't have money coming in. I'm being faced with possible eviction. And then it just hit me like I might have to go back home to Missouri. I'm gonna kind of transition here because the way that I left Missouri, I will say, was very abrupt. I pretty much uprooted myself out of my entire support system. And so going from Missouri to Texas, like, I had to pretty much start over. And it was just, it was a very weird time for me. It was exciting, but it was still kind of lonely in a way because the only people that I knew were the people that I worked with. So I knew that I had to like really put myself out there. Now this was like when I first moved down there. There I was thinking like, man, maybe this was a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have left as soon as I did. I thought I could get out here and make it on my own. Well, I told the people in my church what was going on, and one thing led to the next, and they pretty much helped me out financially, gave me a job, and I was able to kind of hang on until I got something good, something better as far as work. And so that was a major blessing. And so, like I said, it was a 6-month process. It was probably about towards the end of summer or middle of summer, doors were opening up, and I could see that God was about to like really show out and provide. I actually had options. I chose one option, turned down another. I finally opened back up to retail and was able to get a job as a manager at a retail shop. It was a good experience, and I was in that position for about a month, and then I was offered an even more interesting position within e-commerce. And e-commerce, that's pretty much how I want to construct my business. So I'm like, I need to know about this, and it allows me to work with marketing, be creative. It allows me to learn more about technology. It just seemed like a really great position. I was like, okay, Lord, if this is meant for me, then I'll get the job. I went through the interview processes, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I just put it in God's hand, and I actually got the call that I got the job. It was like a huge opportunity to finally invest back into my business and do what I need to do to get the ball rolling. Well, got through the year 2020, new year, new me type of mentality. I was excited for the new year, excited to invest. I was actually about to put down a deposit on an apartment. Things just felt like they were falling into place. And I was just really in a good season. I felt like I was in a good season. 2020 came, got back to work after all the holiday shenanigans, and my boss, he was in town, calls me into the office and basically told me that they didn't want me for the position anymore. I was devastated. It was devastating because here I was the whole year fighting for a good job, fighting for consistent income, fighting for stability, and everything crashed like that. It's funny because at the time it was devastating, but I'm like, it's okay. Like I can get another job really fast. Like I can do this time. Like I had this go-getter mentality. Like I'm not gonna let this defeat me. And so like literally that same day I started revamping my resume. I started revamping my online pages, profile pages, and started applying for jobs immediately. I was just ripping and running around, going to coffee shops, just applying for jobs every day, trying to find work. And time just kept going and kept going, and I kept getting rejected, and no answers, no reply backs. It just started hitting me like I was staying with someone and their lease was over at the end of January. So I had to be somewhere. I had to have a stable living situation. So I was not only trying to look for a job, facing unemployment, I was also facing potential homelessness. It was a devastating moment in my life. And well, I finally made the decision to go back home. It's like, okay, I see it's not working here. Lord, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you put me in this situation. Maybe there is purpose in me going back home for this time. And so I surrendered. I was just like, okay, fine, I'll go back home. So I had plans to drive back home. I think it was like the last week of January. And so, you know, I'm working that week, I'm Ubering, trying to make up some extra money. And then I get into a car accident. When that car accident happened, I cried. I broke down. I lost it. Because not only did I lose my job, I lost my car, and I had nowhere to stay any longer. It's crazy how, you know, you can feel like you have everything you need, and you can feel like God is like doing something major in your life, and this is it. This is finally my moment. And then just like that, everything changes. And literally, it felt like the book of Job for me. Maybe not as dramatic, because that was like devastating what he went through, but he lost everything. I didn't lose everything, but I lost a lot. This has been some of the hardest few weeks of my life, and I've had to face some really harsh realities, and I had to ask a lot of questions. Let's just say during this time, God has revealed that. When I first went to Dallas, you know, I told you guys that I was in a weird stage. It was exciting, but it was lonely. Well, during the beginning of that time, I did meet someone, and you know, I didn't think anything of it. It was just supposed to be like me just making new friends. And me and this guy, we got really close, and we began talking. But eventually things did not work out, and God was constantly telling me that, like, it's not it. He's not the one. You deserve better. I have better for you. These are things God was telling me, and I was hard-headed. I was like, well, maybe we can just be friends. I think we tend to do that as women a lot. We want to keep them around, but you know, like, the more you do that, the more you hurt yourself. And I'll just say, during the time that I was living in Dallas, like this was one of my struggles. It was an on and off thing. And you know, it was just one of those situations where he wasn't a bad guy, but there were just so many situations that popped up that just, they were red flags. It was, you know, he just wasn't the one. And God kept telling me that, and I wouldn't listen. A lot of the stuff that I was trying to do, it was a constant conflict. The relationship or friendship that I had with him was in constant conflict with what God was trying to do in my life. And it got to the point that like I just could not let go. I couldn't let go. It was hard. I tried many times, but I just couldn't let go. And I just kept telling God, like, don't give up on me. Don't give up on me. And God knew. He knew it was going to be impossible for me to let go, because I have that bad. When my heart is in it, I'm very loyal. And it hit me. Like, he had to snatch me out of that city. He had to snatch me out of that situation and give me no resources to go back, because he has better for me. And he knew my desire. God knew my desire for wanting the right guy. I want to meet the right man. I want to be with a man who loves God. And a lot of those desires, which were good desires, they conflicted with who this guy was, because he was not any of those things. And so God was like, you want this, you desire this, and I want to give it to you, but I can't give it to you when you're constantly holding on to this idea of what you think this relationship could be. I can't bless you and you're still holding on to this. I'm trying to take you to the next level, but you have to let go. And I see that you're not letting go. I will say that I did lose a lot of who I was going through that. I was still trying to chase my purpose, but I was holding on to something that was toxic. And it was holding me back from truly becoming the woman God needed me to be for the purpose he had for me. So I just encourage you guys to just let go of whatever it is, whatever distractions you're holding on to that's keeping you from your purpose. I don't want you to have to go through the same things I went through and that I'm still going through. Like, this is fresh. This is fresh. And I don't think it's a thing that God doesn't want me to be back in Dallas, but for this time, I have to completely heal before I can go back, because I feel like the support system that I've built there is very strong, but I have to deal with this first. Right now, you know, there's purpose in me being here. It's purpose for me being back in Missouri. I'm not sure what's next. I'm still looking for work. I'm still trying to rebuild, staying with a really awesome, amazing sister right now. So I'm praying that this has given me the opportunity to hear from God, just really be at peace and hear clearly from him as to what he's trying to tell me. I encourage you guys to do that as well. Like, in the midst of letting go, you're gonna have to get that alone time. Please subscribe. I also encourage you to subscribe to my channel from my brand, Rizenbreed. I'm going to be putting in efforts to get that back up and running in the midst of this crazy cycle that I'm going through. I am also on Instagram, Beautythruchrist. That's Beauty, THRU, Christ. I'll put the links below. I also have a page on Facebook, Beautythruchrist. Stay tuned. I don't know what's next, but I want you guys to be a part of it. I'm also going through a weight loss journey once again because life has threw some curves back at me, and I want to be able to share that journey with you guys as well. I don't know what's next, but I know it's good, and I know God is good.